Ovechin. How are you? Hope you all doing well. Welcome back to the ABCDs of Sports Podcast. I'm your team captain, Samita, and it's nice to be back. And thank you so much again for spending great quality time with me. We are in the week of March 10th, 2025, and exciting episode today, exciting game today. Uh, you know, I'm gonna just go get into it right now. We're gonna set it up and go off to our game plan. So our game plan, as always, we start with the magic number 16, referencing Mike Greenberg's book, Got Your Number. Number 16 goes to Mr. Joe Cool, 49ers great quarterback, Joe Montana. Some quick accolades for him. He led the infamous Notre Dame Fighting Irish, the 1977 national title, and helped put that college on the map when it comes to college football. He has won 4 Super Bowl titles and went undefeated in 4 Super Bowl games. He has 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Uh, Only a handful of people, Mr. Tom Brady and Mr. Patrick Mahomes, join him in that. And he has thrown 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in those Super Bowls. So a a, a persona of perfection, you could say, and known for countless game-winning drives. You can go back to so many of them, from like the catch that went to Dwight Clark to the drive with the last second touchdown to John Taylor. Uh, Before there was Tom Brady, there was Joe Montana. And if you talk to Tom Brady, he always says that he idolized Joe Montana, and Joe Montana helped him get into helped him become the man who he was. So he's one of the greats for sure. All right, our game of the week. Well, it's not a game, it's a whole tournament. It's the March Madness tournament. Starting next week, the March Madness tournament, the 3-week long tournament where 68 college basketball teams play single elimination tournament, and it is definitely one of the biggest, coolest sporting events of the year. I mean, that first Thursday, Friday of March Madness is next level. They've actually done studies of it and how much non-productivity happens when it comes to work is it's astronomical. I mean, I've had patients, and not just male patients, but female patients who've told me that they take those 2 days off and then go to Vegas to just sit there all day, literally 9 in the morning Pacific time till like 12 midnight Pacific time, sit there and watch games, gamble. It's a lot of fun, and as you know it, and of course don't tell my work, but that second screen in my office is running with all these games. So it's super cool to watch. Definitely make sure you fill out a bracket, even just for fun, and they actually say the people who don't know anything about college basketball somehow always do much better on these things. So fill it out next Monday, put it in there just for fun and have fun, and then let me know how it goes. Uh, by the way, I'm notorious for losing out on a Final Four team like in by Thursday or Friday for sure. So I know it's gonna happen, but that's all part of it. Okay, our player to watch, say the player to watch for pretty much for a month is Mr. Alex Ovechin, the great eight, the Alexander the Great, the guy who's chasing Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring career record. He, my friends, is 9 goals away from breaking records. 9 goals. He's got 17 games to go in this season. And right now he's at a current pace of 3 goals every 4 games. So he's gonna do it. ESPN hasn't projected to break it on April 6th. I'm gonna make a bold statement. I think he's gonna break it on March 30th. You heard it right here, right now. Keep your eye on it. March 30th, Sunday, at home against the Buffalo Sabres. Definitely check that out. I got a feeling that's when he's gonna. I mean, he's gonna want to do it in front of his home fans, and it's gonna be wild and crazy. And please, we like to be there, and it's want to be gonna be one of those moments of like, where were you, and what were you doing when you watched greatness? That this is one of them. All right, very excited to introduce our new teammate that's gonna be coming. It's You know what? I'm gonna let it speak for itself. All right, time to introduce our new teammate. All right, team. How are we doing? Welcome back. Wanted to introduce our newest teammate, Bhupinder Kaur Malik. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be on a podcast. I feel like such a celebrity.
Well, I mean, like the other day when we all hanged out at Karandeep's house, I mean, like we just told, I just knew we got to get you on because just your enthusiasm and when we were talking about sports was like next level. I loved it. So I'm super excited to sit here and chit chat with you and everything like that. Um, uh, for
Excited to
for
be here.
our teammates out there though, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh God, where do I start? I feel like I'm getting so old. I was born in England, but I was raised in Canada. Like I'm a
Mm-hmm.
very true Canadian still. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I was raised in the small town outside of Vancouver, like 5 hours away, Vernon, super small town. And then when I was like 12, I moved to Surrey, the second Punjab outside of India.
Yeah.
And I was there throughout middle school, high school, and undergrad college. And then I moved to San Fran to go to law school. And then got engaged and really never went back. And honestly, when you get to Southern California and you're with the weather, nobody ever goes back. So I love Canada, but I think I love the weather here better. So I would never leave.
Ah, yeah. You miss any of the seasons up there though?
Yeah, but I go visit them. I love the
Okay.
seasons, but to
Yeah.
go visit, I mean, love to go there in the winter. That's the only season I really miss. But we live in California. We get snow 2 hours away to go skiing. So
Yeah.
like you're a little
It's
spoiled here.
yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Like you that's the beauty of California. You can go any direction and you're gonna find the weather that you want. You just gotta look for it and know which direction to go to.
When I first moved to LA
Yeah.
and I was
Hmm.
here, I was like, oh my God, everybody here is such a snob. They'd be like, oh, how do you live in Vancouver? It's always raining or it's always so cold there. And I used to like roll my eyes and be like, these people are such snobs. I became one of those snobs after about 6 months. I'd go to Vancouver. I'm like, why is it always raining here? It's because, I mean, in LA, we get sun, what, 350 days out of the year. So,
Hmm.
I mean, you can't beat it.
Yeah, no, and you could be out. So what's your favorite sport?
To play, definitely soccer. I started age
Mm.
5 and I'm in my 40s, I'm still playing. To watch, probably basketball because I started watching when Jordan was on in the late 80s.
Ooh, another Jordan fan and everything. Is it safe to say that he's your favorite athlete?
Yes, definitely
Yeah.
athlete. I don't know as a person, but definitely as an
No,
athlete, for sure, hands down.
yeah. Yeah, all right. You're sounding like all these people that after they watched The Last Dance and how much how much we learned about how competitive he is and to what level he can take it. So
Yeah. No, I was like a diehard Jordan fan. I think I started watching him in sixth grade, and then basketball was always on. I live in Canada, so we didn't get like ESPN. It took me years to figure out a way to hack and get into this like cable system of getting WGN. And so it took a long time to get to watch those games, but no, for sure. He is for sure my favorite athlete, changed sports for me. And just that anything was possible, especially with the teams that he took to the championship. So yeah, for sure, basketball and Jordan.
oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's funny you say WGN because right, that channel is synonymous with Chicago, right? It's pure Chicago based, and they play only Chicago sports and
Yeah,
shows and stuff like that. So of course you're gonna get Jordan with that.
yeah.
Uh,
And in Canada, you don't get ESPN or Fox. You don't
Mhm.
get all these channels up there. Well, now it's different, obviously, but
Yeah.
in the 90s you didn't. So that was the only way you could watch those games.
Oh wow. I mean, gonna go back to, so you said you love to play soccer. That's your favorite one. Is that go back to your roots in England, or was it part of Vancouver, Canada?
No, definitely Vancouver. So I grew up in a small town called Vernon, and my
Uh-huh.
parents put me in soccer in the city rec league when I was 5. And I don't remember playing exactly at 5, but I know I have participation trophies from like that year. So yeah, I started playing at 5, and I don't think, unless I was pregnant with my 4 kids, I don't think there's ever been a time that I haven't played soccer.
Oh wow. So you
Yeah.
played through your adulthood. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's still in the adult Pasadena League here. I
Uh-huh.
played here after I got married. I joined a couple of teams here. Actually, every city I've lived in, I've played in rec leagues, but I played in the Pasadena League. And then after I got married, Bajni, my brother-in-law, he was like, "Oh, I want to play soccer too." So we started a team called the Super Six. And
What?
we played, yep, and we played and we did that until 2 years ago. So I think we played for 13 years, every Sunday, and it was all sick team for the first 10 years, all sick team. Then we had to recruit some other people. It was co-ed.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and it was awesome. The majority of them were basketball players, but we made it work. It was fun.
You had to show them what it was like. You use your feet, not your hands, and that type
Yeah.
of thing. And
No, for sure. But it
yeah.
was a lot of fun, especially when you're playing with, people from your own Sangat.
Hmm.
We met so many other people through our Sangat with it. We had a lot of people come through, but the core group was the same. But then our cousin moved way back to India. And then we couldn't coordinate the management of the team and the game. So we stopped playing. I still
Oh,
play on another team there, but it's not
okay.
the Super Six, it's just another
Yeah.
random rec team.
Right, right, okay. And is it like 7v7, outdoor, indoor?
Yeah,
How?
right now it's
Tell me
seven v
logistics.
seven.
Okay.
Yeah,
And it's
outdoor
outdoor?
outdoor on turf or grass, but yeah, 7v7. Too
Oh,
old for
so
11v
cool.
11, man. It's too big of a field.
I feel you, man. And I mean, it's hard to get 11 people with some subs too to play a full game that way. So no, no,
Yeah, it
7v7
is.
is that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me, have you ever heard it's called the tournament that they play in the East Coast at all?
The one that has the $1 million prize?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
right. And like you heard of the soccer version of it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I was just kind of curious that way.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I've heard about it and I know people that have played in it.
yeah, you have? Like who's played in that?
My son, the youngest one,
Uh-huh.
his coach is Sean Franklin, who played for the Galaxy. He was just in that tournament.
Oh, no way. His coach is Sean Franklin?
Yeah, you know Sean Franklin?
Yes. What do you call it? I was, my first team that I loved in MLS when it first started was the Galaxy, right? Because it was the closest local team.
Yeah.
And so I know all about Sean Franklin and his thing. I mean, he's a great defender and all that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
kind of
so the
funny.
club that he plays for is yeah, Sean Franklin. So yeah, he went to that tournament. They went pretty far in it,
Hmm. Hmm.
playoffs, but they didn't win.
That way. Oh, I mean, it's kind of cool to see like all these people who like, like these people who formed great relationships over the years, in the either national teams or in their club teams, and they're just coming back and doing it and playing again together for fun. It's cool to watch. I watch games online in that way. Um, and it's also fun to kind of watch these non-soccer players play on it too, like like JJ Watt or Pat McAfee, and they're see their show off their skills too. That so it's like how the sport can go to other sport athletes too.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like once you play a sport, you may not be
Yeah.
the best at the next sport that you play, but I feel like if you're pretty athletic, I mean, you can pick up any sport. You might not be able to play at the highest level, but I mean, if
Yeah.
you're an athlete and you're playing football, I mean, I'm sure you have the stamina and the conditioning to play soccer.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it is fun to watch players play other sports.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So what position did you play?
I played center mid.
Ah, the maestro.
I did,
Yeah.
yeah, for quite a while, and then age catches up to you, and then I'm just like looking at the ball, I was like, I don't need to be there, but I just can't get there anymore. So,
The- did you have a favorite team?
for
Soccer.
soccer,
Yeah.
I actually never really watched like the MLS growing up.
Mm,
Well, they didn't have
mm,
the MLS then, but I only
mm,
watched men's World Cup
mm.
growing up. So I always
Yeah.
loved Brazil, and the reason being was just because their footwork was just such high caliber. My dadke all live in England, so I used to visit a lot. I used to go
Uh-huh.
play soccer there whenever we'd go visit our cousins or family friends. And even their level of soccer compared to what we played in Canada was way higher. And then so when
Oh
then
yeah.
you watch these national teams, you watch Brazil, you were always in awe by what they actually could do. And now the camera angles are so much better, so you see so much more than you did then. So I'd have to
Hmm.
say Brazil for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a that in the 90s, like they were like one of the teams, if not the team, right? We were with the 94 win, the 98 finals, the 2002 win, right? That stretch of about 10 years, they were the team uh in the world. And it was amazing to watch like their artistry. And that always goes back to like the 60s and 70s with Pele and how is it's kind of sad like right now they're not there as
Yeah,
they
well, the
were.
world is caught up, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like people don't only play for their own country, they're all like moving
Yeah.
around. So it's like talent is scouted from everywhere. You can go play for a different country if you're nationalized there and stuff. But the
Yeah.
Brazil women's team is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they're great. And I
They're
know that the US women's is caught up and all that. And they're
wait. U.S. women dominates the best. Brazil still have not. Women's Brazil team has
now.
never won a World Cup.
That's
No,
true.
not
That's
now.
true. I should say, yeah, that's true. You're right. Women's soccer
Uh,
in the US has always been way more developed than and ahead of everything than the men's soccer for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I give you this. The Brazilian one are very technical and still very probably the most technical team in the
Yeah.
world. When it comes to artistry, they just have not been able to put that together yet, where they can win, get that trophy. I
No,
mean,
agree.
yeah, you can argue that Marta is probably the best female player to ever play,
Yes.
and she's accomplished so much. But the international trophy has eluded her, or a medal. So, uh, the thing. But I mean, I will never forget her from 2007 when she in the semis against the U.S. Where I mean, it's probably one of the best goals I've ever seen, where she ball in the air, one touched it, what do you call it, past the play, past the defender and ran around her, and then did a one quick swipe and shot it. And it's like you're like, and it's all within like a second. It was like all in a blink of an eye. Like
Yeah, she's good.
it's the coolest thing, one of the coolest goals I've ever seen
Yeah,
ever. So.
women's soccer for sure is so entertaining to watch. And it
Mhm,
used to be that, like, because women's sports, I feel like everybody always says, oh, basketball's more exciting with men or this and there's all these comparisons always made. But I feel
mhm,
like soccer is the one sport where you can say that women, it's just as exciting to watch as the men's,
I
for sure.
agree 100%. 100%. And seeing them in all the live sports, you can feel it at that level. So what was your jersey number? And what's your favorite jersey number?
My number was 7.
Oh, great number. Great number. Any particular reason why?
I had a friend, he was a few years older than me. He was
Mm-hmm.
like probably many years older. He's a little older than my oldest brother, and he used to play
Yeah.
hockey. And he had
Uh,
the number 7, and this is when I was 11 or 12, and I was like, I want to be like him. And so he had the number 7, so I wanted the number 7. And so I don't know what I was before age 10 or 11, but after that, I always had 7.
oh, that's so
That's
cool. I
how
mean,
it
it's a great number.
started. That's how it started. And then after that, I just always kept the same number just because that was my number. But I actually hadn't thought about why I had that number until I went to this like school reunion a couple of years ago. I'm like, I think that's why I chose the number. So yeah, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. It's a great number. I mean, that's one of the ones few that no matter what sport you play, it's a cool number. And a lot of great athletes have worn that on
Yeah,
all of
7's
them.
good.
So
8 is also a good number, just because it's like sideways, it's infinity. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to think about that.
yeah. My
Yeah.
daughter, Soba, and my youngest son, they both wear 8. And I'm like, oh, that's a
Ah,
good number. I should have chose 8.
yeah, interesting. Oh, my kid in the hall wears 8 too.
Yeah,
He goes,
it's a good number.
yeah, that's a great number. So, was there a time when you were younger that sports helped you? I mean, you've gone so many different, right? You went from England to Canada to US, that sports helped you kind of assimilate within the culture or helped you relate to, both, in culture and in culture.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
Mm,
in sports is different when you're younger, but as I
mm,
got into my teens and then college, and then after that, any city I've lived in, I've always joined a rec team. And
mm,
it's an amazing way to meet people
mhm.
because it doesn't matter what background you come from. Once you're on that soccer field, nobody cares.
Yeah.
That was the best part about it. And I didn't realize that as a kid, but as I was, in law school and playing in San Francisco, and that's how I met people. And I was in Seattle in law school for a year as well. That's where I met people. And it's so easy to meet people through sports. And regardless of your political views, regardless, like you leave everything and every difference on the sideline when you step on the field. And it's like, it's an amazing feeling. Um, Not just to like assimilate, but just to like be at one with people, like, just as
Mhm.
harmony, just like as Gurnanak Dev Ji says, like, I know you can go so make it so philosophical, but really that's what it is. Like you're on that field, any color, any race, any religion, you have one goal. And you're all on the same page and you're all a team. And if
Mm,
you don't work together, it doesn't matter how great you are as an individual, you're not going to accomplish anything. And so just like now I watch my kids play, and that's why it's so important for me for them to play sports, because I never thought of that growing up and I never connected that, but that's always with you and you're learning it just subconsciously, you just don't know it.
mhm. Yeah, I think you've expressed the essence of and beauty of sports to a T. That's what it's all about, right? It does. Everybody has a role, everybody has a place, everybody works together, and we all, you know, when everybody wins, everybody wins, right? Like one person wins when everybody wins.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why, and we all lose together too, right? It becomes something that we all share and put on that way. So,
Yeah.
and it's forming those bonds and relationships. Did sports ever help you through like a really tough time?
I think for, I mean, I've been blessed in terms of life with like tough times. I mean, you look back in hindsight, obviously, in adolescence, there's, so many things you go through, whether it's middle school or high school. But like, I think for
Mhm.
me, soccer was an escape when I would say family members were sick. We had my mama was sick for years. And so I think soccer helped me through that time for sure. Um, and so I think to say that it helped, it's definitely during that time. And if there was, in terms of, I didn't face anything more serious in my life as loss until later, but even whether it was with stress with school or any type of stress in life, soccer was definitely a release, from everything. Um, and so it was like this like addiction where like I'd have to go play. And it was cool because luckily my parents, they're both Gursikh. But I was never raised with like a Punjabi culture. I was just
Mhm.
raised with like a Sikh, like just a Sikh faith, but
Yeah.
never a Punjabi culture. I have an older brother, younger brother. I got treated better than my brothers, so I think it's like it was reverse in our household. I had a lot of freedom. My parents never stopped me from playing soccer or going anywhere to play. I played with guys, girls, like it just I had a lot of freedom in that way. And for me, it was like I always constantly needed to play. Um, Whether it was in school, whether it was in high school, city leagues, or college. When I was in Vancouver, actually, from the age of 12 to like maybe 22, I also played throughout the entire summer and spring on like a sick team. where we would form a team just to play in
Uh-huh.
water tournaments. They were really kabaddi tournaments, but they
Yeah.
became these like soccer tournaments. Yeah, and so they'd
Okay.
register like men's teams and then, we'd be like, no, we want a girls team. So they'd like, get together like three girls teams like in all of Lower Mainland from all the six they could find. And, it would be like 16 and under, and we'd have like 12-year-olds on our team. But it grew. It slowly grew, and a lot of Gurdwara started participating. People started playing. So I got to play all year, even when it wasn't soccer season, because then we'd play in these like Gurdwara tournaments. So um, it was definitely a release from any type of, you know, stress, or if you want to call that stress when you're kids, or something just to get away from. It was definitely that for me throughout my entire life, and still is. I mean, I think you can get on a soccer field and it just makes you feel better.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit more about these like Gurdwara tournaments. Like, how did that stuff come about? And what were Gurdwara soccer tournaments like?
So Khalsa Diwan is one of the oldest Gurdwara in Vancouver, Ross Street. So they started these
Mhm.
kabaddi tournaments that, they'd have people come from all over the US and England and India. And then they started adding like men's soccer teams. Okay, then it became boys soccer teams, and then eventually it became girls. And so they do them every year on the same weekends. It would be a Gurdwara, Vancouver Gurdwara tournament, then a Surrey one, and a Richmond. Every Gurdwara started hosting their own. And
Mm.
we'd sign up, and it would be like from a Friday to Sunday, just like any other tournament you go to here with
Yeah.
kids. You'd
Yeah.
play 4 or 5 games and go into the finals, and and sometimes we'd go to the tournament, we'd sign up, they're like, we only have 2 teams. And so we'd have to like call the Gurdwara and be like, please, can you guys put a team together? Or we'd call people we knew and said, just sign up as this team. So it took a lot of convincing. And
Mhm.
even living in Vancouver, it was hard for us to find 14 girls to make a team. And so now I look around and it's so awesome when I go up there. You see so many more Sikh, not just Sikh, all Indians, and this these girls playing more sport. So it's awesome to see.
Well, two questions on that, Paula. What made it so difficult to get 14 girls to come create a team? And how do you think, or what made it evolve now to something even more so that it's not so that case, would you say?
I mean, I think our parents' generation focused on
Mhm.
academics. And
Uh-huh.
because most of our parents, I shouldn't say everybody, like most of our parents didn't play school sports or team sports, right? I mean, they
Uh,
ain't got time for that. They're working 2 jobs, trying
yeah.
to pay a mortgage, right? And I think so they were so focused on doing that, you know, when you have kids, you realize that it's not just what you teach them, it's what they see.
Yeah.
And so, if you're always playing sports and your kids are just kind of thrown into it, you're always playing. So you kind of, my parents never played sports. My mom was very active, but they never played any team sports. They put us in it. So now I think the difference in our generation is that since a lot of, even if the mothers haven't played, the fathers have played. And
Yeah.
so they encourage their kids to play, or they play with their kids. So now more kids are joining leagues and playing sports, right?
Hmm.
And I think our generation also understands the importance of like, playing on a team sport,
Hmm.
or even individually, like whether it's for, just whether it's for your cardio or for exercise or for good health. But for whatever reason it is, I think we look at it differently. And that's the reason why there's more kids in sports these days than there were in our parents' generation.
Got it. And you're talking about more kids in our culture
Yes.
that are playing sports. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think in overall in the
Yeah.
spectrum,
Yeah.
more girls are playing, right?
Yeah. Of course.
But for our culture specifically, I mean, I don't know about other cultures, but our culture specifically, living in Vancouver, I can tell you that there weren't a lot of girls. I had a lot of friends that they either focused on academics or they just weren't interested in sports. Their parents didn't watch them, right? That's a big
Mhm.
influence. Watching a sport or having it on in your house versus, just regular like dissy programs that a lot of people watch. I think that's a big influence. And the other is if your parents played or if your parents had signed you up for sports. So it's
And,
changing.
and then, so when you were a kid, what made you pick up sports?
I think by chance, like my parents just signed me up for this city league
Yeah.
when I was 5, and I just didn't stop playing after that.
Okay.
I know that I definitely recall from the time I was in sixth and seventh grade, I was already in Vancouver and I
Yeah.
definitely wanted to play. Before
Yeah.
that, I don't know, they just signed me up every year. I
Yeah.
can't remember that far back, but sixth, seventh grade for sure. Like I played hockey in my cul-de-sac
Hmm.
till it was dusk, like all
Yeah.
the time, with my brothers and people in the neighborhood, right? Rollerblade hockey.
Yeah.
I didn't play much basketball.
Hmm.
I watched it more than I played. But I played roller hockey, I played soccer, and it's like whenever I hung out with a lot of boys growing up, whether it
Uh-huh.
was cousins or friends, or even in my even throughout high school and college, I was always better friends with boys. And I think that's because part of it is because of sports.
Hmm.
I had a lot of great friends, and some of them did play soccer, but not very many.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think it makes a difference as to in terms of generations, just seeing more and more girls playing. It's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I made it a point. I mean, I know I have four kids, two boys, two girls, but and my boys, obviously, I want all my kids to play sports. I mean, they don't have to go play in college or anything like that, but there's so much confidence and life lessons you learn that they're not even realizing it. And I didn't realize it then either. But looking back, I can say that I've learned a lot from sport throughout my whole life. And so I definitely encourage my girls to play and my boys as well. And I think just naturally, because when we have free time, that's what everybody does. We play basketball or soccer. And so that's really all they know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you have a favorite memory playing sports?
You know, I I don't even know if it's with soccer, but when I was in 11th grade, I wanted to play basketball, but our high school didn't have enough girls to make a team. So this recruiter came out to our school to recruit us to play netball.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know it was a real sport. I thought it was totally made up. And it was an Australian program that they were bringing to Canada. And so we had to go try, me and my friend that were playing basketball wanted to play. They recruited us to go try out for this netball team. And we ended up playing for our provincial winter games that were like televised and all this. So we made
What?
this team. We had to train for 6 to 8 months. Okay, we were in 11th grade. We trained 6 to 8 months. And then we went to these winter games. They treated us like celebrities. We were like on these like bus tours. Like it
Yeah.
was so crazy. And we had never played the sport before. So we had to learn it all. And it's like as long as you can shoot well. And so so I think my biggest memory was we didn't win. We only won bronze, but we were in the playoff game, and it was just only two people can shoot. So it's gold assist and gold shooter. I was gold
Okay.
shooter and my friend Ruby was gold assist. And man, that tournament, we just like wiped everybody out. We lost in one of the playoffs and went to the third place game. But I would say that tournament for us, those winter games, it was a big highlight in playing sports because you get to see what you could actually achieve. And if you committed yourself to a sport, like you could see the world. Like it was pretty cool to
Wow.
see.
So, I mean, you're a bronze medalist in a winter in a international tournament. That is so crazy. That's
So
awesome.
it's so crazy because we went to Australia this past winter, and my
Yeah.
kids think it's hilarious because, my husband's always making a joke about like, oh, netball. And so we went to Australia and we were visiting parks and stuff, and there was a basketball court and there was a netball court. And I finally was able to convince my children that it was a real sport. I'm like, oh my God, we have a netball court. So it's like a running joke in the family that,
Oh
I'm a
my
netball
God.
player.
Now, quick, briefly for all our teammates out there that have never heard of netball, explain netball and what is netball
An
and how you
Australian
play it.
sport. They play it in Europe. It's
Mm.
basically like it's on a basketball court. I don't know if the
Uh-huh.
dimensions are the same. It's like there's a hoop, but there's no
Yeah.
backboard.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a lot of skill to shoot the ball, okay, but it's a little closer than the 3-point line. So it's
Okay.
the area where you can shoot from is a little bit smaller than the 3-point line, and only two people
Okay.
can shoot. Everybody
Got it.
else has to pass it. You can dribble, I think, two bounces, and then you have to pass.
Oh,
It's an
interesting.
official sport of Australia. It's called
Yeah,
netball.
I remember there's something forget what because there's a lot of I think they were playing it, like on ESPN, like they have the Ocho, right? And I was browsing stuff one time, and I think I saw some games of it once there, and I think I saw like Singapore there, and they were getting killed by some team that way, or one like that way. And if I recall right, it's uh they still have hoops on both ends, but it's a lot
Yeah,
smaller too.
it's
The
just like
ball,
a
it's
basketball court.
yeah,
Just like a basketball court, no backboard.
yeah,
You can only two people can shoot, the ones
yeah,
that remain in that 3-point circle, which is a little bit
yeah,
smaller than 3-point
yeah.
line.
And isn't
Um,
the ball a little smaller too? Like you can hold it with one hand.
I
Am I
think
right
it
or wrong?
is, yeah, yes, it's a little bit
Comparative.
smaller. Yeah.
Okay, 'cause
Maybe
it's
like the
easier to
women's
palm
size
in.
basketball. Maybe
Okay,
that's,
got it.
yeah.
So, but
I
I
don't know,
mean,
man. I played for 1 year of my life. Okay. I don't know anything else about it. I was 17. And so I never played after that again. There's no netball in Canada other than that. So yeah.
other than that, that one time you got recruited to be the Canadian national team netball
No, it
player
wasn't Canadian. It was the provincial. It was in our
for
state.
for state.
Um,
Okay, gotcha. For
yeah.
state, that's so
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it
That's
was
so cool.
exciting.
Oh,
But other than that, I mean, like when you're in playoffs and you're those winning goals,
yeah,
those are amazing.
yeah.
I don't like penalty shootouts, but I remember many of my playoff penalty shootouts. You don't forget them. They're very nerve-wracking.
No, this I know they stick with you, don't they?
Yeah,
It just
yeah,
it's off. Do you have a favorite moment watching sports
yeah.
or a
Every
favorite sports
every Chicago Bulls championship run.
moment? Oh man,
I
those
mean,
those are so
every
fun to
single
watch.
playoff game in those 6 years, right?
Hmm.
91 to 93
Yeah,
and onwards.
I
And
mean,
my saddest moment in sports history was in October of 94 when Jordan retired the first time.
oh, yes,
Yeah.
the first time. Yes, that changed the whole dynamics. That that changed sports forever that way. That it's still like those 2 years there, that 1.5 years there was like there almost feel like an abysmal forgotten years because he wasn't in there and he was
Yeah.
out playing baseball and it looked so weird and felt so weird.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
horrible. Absolutely horrible, especially because it's like at the peak of his career. So it was just, yeah, that was horrible.
Mm.
October of 94 was just devastating. Uh,
So, but then when he came back in 95, what do you
yes.
call it?
Yeah. That
95
was
ish must have
awesome.
been so yes.
Yeah. Then you don't take it
Yeah.
for
The
granted
I'm
either.
back.
You're like, oh, I don't know when he's
And
going to
that,
leave. I'm going to watch every single game now.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the best was when Vancouver
Yeah.
got a basketball
It's
team. Do
like
you remember that? Do you remember when the
yes,
Vancouver
the
Grizzlies
Vancouver
started?
Grizzlies.
That was awesome. Not
Yep.
because the Grizzlies were
Yeah.
awesome, but because every NBA team came through there.
So, did you see any game? I'm sure you saw games there. And who did you
All of
see
them. I
in
watched
Vancouver
I watched
playing
every
when they came by?
single NBA
Yeah.
team play in those years. And I finally got to
Oh,
see Jordan
that,
play. Yeah, I didn't miss any team.
oh,
Yeah.
you saw Jordan play.
Oh, for sure. Twice in Seattle and in Vancouver.
What was that like?
It was amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing. He makes it look so easy. It doesn't even look like he's doing anything
Mm,
great. Like everything just looks so easy and like every
yeah.
shot, like it didn't look in, you don't get replays when you're there, when you're watching the game. So it just looked
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everybody was like just like scums and like little scrubs and there he just like dribbling around them and he just made it look so easy. Um,
That's
but yeah,
awesome.
that was the best about when
That's
Vancouver had a
so
team.
cool.
And so one other
All
thing
right.
about when
So,
Vancouver had a team, I had a friend in the
yeah.
US Customs. She used to tell me like, hey, you know what? You're at the game today. By the way, they're keeping customs open late today because the team's coming through here. So
Oh,
yeah, and so when you pull up to Vancouver Airport, right when you pull up, that's the US side. So they closed the airport
yeah.
because last flight, I don't know what time it goes out, 9:10. So these guys used to come in at 11:30. The airport used to be empty, but it's open to the public. So they used to come through those doors. She used to be like, they're gonna fly out tonight. And so they have to go through customs in Vancouver. And so she's like, they're keeping the customs open, they're coming today. So after the game, I would drive up to the airport. It was usually me and one of my friends or me and my younger brother. We'd pull up right there on the curb. We'd go inside. The whole team would come in. We'd get to talk to them all, take pictures. and then leave. So I did that to, I don't know how many teams. I met Jordan, but it was really hard to talk to Jordan. But
Yeah.
Barkley, Kobe, like any team you could think of at that time, I met.
Whoa. Oh,
It was really cool. It was cool talking to them
I
all.
know.
Jordan was the only one that I really didn't talk too much. I just said what's up to him and tried to take a selfie, but there was no selfies back then,
Yeah.
so you had to actually turn the camera. So they didn't turn out good. But
Yeah.
everybody else, like Charles Barkley was awesome to talk to. Like anybody, I think on every team, every major player I met.
Wow, that is awesome. That is so cool.
Yeah, I
That's
was,
amazing. That's a cool story of going and going to the airport and meeting up with all the teams that way. That's
yeah.
awesome. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I was one of those that would follow them around. When Jordan came for the first time to Vancouver to play the Grizzlies, I didn't go to school, right? Like obviously, my
Yeah,
parents knew too, and I was what,
yeah.
17? And so I was like, yeah, I know where
Hmm.
they're staying, which hotel. I'm going downtown. And so, I just called in sick to school. But then when it was a big story, right? Jordan's in town, right? So it's all over the news. So I was on the
Yeah, yeah.
news. I didn't know I was on the news. And so my teacher the next day was like, "Oh, where were you yesterday?" So yeah, I was one of those like crazy fans.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. Oh my
Yeah,
God. Getting yeah, and this is those things you always get caught. No matter what you're playing hooky that way, but that's fun in its own way. How that way? That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool. Um, so what athlete would you trade roles with?
Current or former?
Doesn't matter.
Uh, Jordan.
Okay.
I mean, taking teams that were, for lack of a better word, kind of scrubs,
Yeah.
and winning those championships, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They weren't all like these great players or, they didn't come in with their like, these high skill sets. I mean, okay, Pippen was a good player, okay. I
Yeah.
mean, we argue about that all the time, that he's the greatest
Yes.
bull, as
Mm-hmm.
Harpreet says. But I mean, all these other players that were there for all those teams, I mean, like, Bill Cartwright and, like
Yeah.
just, okay, BJ Armstrong was good, but sure, he wasn't a great player like Stacey King,
No.
Will Purdue. Like, who are these guys? They were nobody
Yeah.
without Jordan. So it was interesting to watch The Last Dance,
Mm-hmm.
and their perspectives on it, because I think
Yeah.
they also know that, okay, where would we be if we didn't have Jordan as a teammate, whether he was
Yeah.
a jerk to them or not, or whatever their perspective is. So
Yeah.
like all of them, even Tony Kukoc, I know he was like this internationally, he was supposed to be this great player, but all of them. So I just feel like to be a player that can take a whole team,
Mm-hmm.
and win like 6 championships, I think that's a great feat.
Yeah. And I mean they haven't sniffed it since. And they didn't sniff it when he wasn't there either, right in between. So it's amazing and incredible.
Yeah, because like
Um,
today's NBA, every player is looking for a second piece to help
yeah,
out, whether it's Steph Curry or
yeah,
LeBron or anybody, and they're looking for a star, not like just, some guy that's like that's like mediocre. So it's like
yeah.
that wasn't there back then. I know everybody can
No.
argue that that was Pippen, but I mean, I don't think
Yeah, I
Pippen.
mean Pippen was great, a great player, but I mean if you compare him to a lot of the players today, he doesn't compare. He's it's different
Yeah,
in that way. He's yeah, I mean he was a great Robin, but he was a Robin and he
great
can never
Robin. Yeah, that's
yeah,
good. That's good.
yeah. He's a
That's
great
true.
Robin. He's probably the best Robin of all time, but will always be just Robin. He'll never be a Batman.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
um oh so if you were commissioner for a day and could change one thing about any league or sport, what would it be?
What would it be in any sport? I don't like penalty shootouts for finals games. I don't
Okay.
think it should be determined by that. I think you should just go to overtimes, just like they do in the NHL.
Okay.
You just add on overtime 1, 2, 3, and just kind of give them breaks in between, but it should not be determined by a penalty shootout for soccer. So
Okay.
I think that's what I would change.
Got it.
For the
Wow,
finals,
interesting.
maybe in maybe in like group plays and things like that, or playoffs, I
Hmm.
don't know, but definitely for the finals. You cannot determine a winner based on taking a shot from 15 feet out.
Hmm.
So I think that's what I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
change.
Very cool. Interesting. I know there's been tons of debate about that and feel that it's not that way. Maybe one day we can get these guys okay. Is there a sporting event that you're looking forward to?
I love hockey finals, hockey
Hmm.
playoffs. Growing up in Canada, I still do love hockey. I don't
Hmm.
watch it as much as I wish I could. We do go to Kings games when we can.
Hmm.
Um, my kids also play hockey in the backyard because I brought two hockey nets from Canada. So
Uh-huh.
they do play hockey. They do like it. So hockey playoffs, basketball playoffs, and then I don't think anything can beat the World Cup, men's and women's. So I would say World Cup, men's, women's, and then I would say basketball playoffs and then hockey playoffs.
Okay. I like. Well, have you started thinking about what World Cup games you're going to go to when they come to
I don't know if we're gonna go
2026?
to any, we're such a big family. It's like then all the kids, how many do we go to? It's like, do I just go myself? I went in 2006 to the Germany-Portugal third
Germany?
place game. Because
Yeah.
I was in France for a United Nations 2-month program through law school, and they were in the World Cup
Yeah.
in Germany. So I went to that third place game. It was amazing. Nobody does soccer like Europe. Like
Yeah.
they are, wow, it's amazing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll still never like Germany. I remember the Germany World Cup and going there. Um, it was there like it was opening day of the games. We went to Stuttgart to watch. We went to Stuttgart because just being tourists, right? Before
Uh-huh.
that way. And I will never forget like seeing castles and stuff. And right then it was like happening like before the opening game started, and our tour guide, kid you not, cut our tour short by 2 hours because she says, you know what, I gotta go watch the game and go to the square.
Yeah, I believe it.
She's like, oh, the game is going about to go. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to stop this right now. We're gonna go. But this goodbye. We'll see you later. And we ended up watching the game there with like German fans, and Germany beat Costa Rica 4-2, and it was incredible. So and then the whole night, because we like the whole night like Germany was going crazy that way, like right outside our hotel, people honking and celebrating and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a
so
way of life.
and you got to see,
Maybe maybe because they don't,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if they don't have, like, I feel like here we have hockey, we have football, we have basketball. So I don't know if everybody's like just the fans are spread out, but I feel like over there it's like you can't
Mm.
run into somebody that does not watch soccer, especially when it's like a World Cup.
Yeah, yeah.
Like their way of life.
Yes, you're so right. It's religion. It's pure religion and stuff there. And I mean, we're gonna keep growing in this country for sure. I don't, in 2026, that all our teammates that keep listening to me, they hear it all the time, practically every episode, every game. I'm out there saying it's gonna, but I will not hype it enough. It's gonna be incredible.
Yeah, no,
Um, so
I'd love
you're a
to go to a
parent.
game, but let's see what happens, and when the pool play comes out and who's gonna play when. And we'll see, yeah.
I mean, there's tons in LA. There's like so many games in LA. It's worth
Yeah.
checking out or something that way. And then going on there. Um, so yeah, you're a parent, right? And you have kids in sports. Um, what is it your experience with your kids in sports, and what's your goal for them? And do you have any advice for other parents that are putting their kids in sports?
Yeah, I mean, I got 4 kids, age
Mhm.
16, 13, well, almost 16, almost 13, 11, and 9. So 2 girls, 2 boys. There's some sports that you can start off younger. So you want to make sure you know which sports are good to start kids off when they're younger. Like basketball is not a sport that you should put your kids in when they're 5 years old. It's
Mm.
just their coordination just isn't there yet. And I know it's never too early to start, but playing a sport, but to actually join a team, I think you want to wait till for certain sports at different ages. Um, I think when you're
Hmm.
starting, you should expose your kids to all sports because you have no idea what they're
Hmm.
going to be good at. And I think as parents, we
Hmm.
tend to gravitate towards the sports that we like or played because that's what we understand. Like I never would have thought
Yeah.
of putting my kids in softball, but it just happened to be that they had a bunch of friends that were joining. So we were like, oh, sure, why not? Let's try this. And it ended up being like something that our girls love. Um, so I would say be open to trying new sports and you can try them at any age, even though I feel like sports are getting too competitive at too early an age now. But I
Yeah.
do think that you should have your kids try different sports. And you need to give at least 2 years to each sport, especially if your kid is over like 8 years old or so. Don't give up after a year. The development comes after, at least a year. And when your
Hmm.
kid doesn't want to, when you want your child to try something and they're not super open to it, find a friend. Because going to a new team or starting
Okay.
somewhere new, especially for kids that are 8 or 9, it's hard for them to like go into this like new space and try to feel comfortable. And they'll actually also play better if they have at least one friend on that team and they won't be super shy and they won't hold back. While they're playing, they might play stronger or more aggressive, just by being familiar with one friend on the team. So I think
Hmm.
that makes a big difference and has made a difference for us. Um, as you start getting more competitive, it's if your child wants to play more competitive, then I don't think it matters to them as much who else is on the team. But
Hmm.
initially, for that age 5 to like 12, I think it does matter.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
and
Good
so,
to know.
yeah, I think that's what I would say.
Cool. That's awesome. All right. Now we've come to a portion that I have a lot of fun with, and I hope you do too, but we like to call this one crunch time.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to give you a rapid fire set of questions, and you're just going to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. All right. And answer it
Okay.
that way. All
Yeah.
right. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. Coffee or chai?
Ja.
Chai. Oh, you are
And
the
it's not
first.
Jai, it's Ja.
Okay. Fine. Chai. That's you're the very first teammate to come on and pick cha. Everybody else has picked coffee. So you've changed the narrative and you've switched the momentum on that.
I
So
gotta stick with my roots, man. It's like
mhm.
nobody can make a good cup of cha. Nobody can imitate a good cup of cha
Mhm.
from a different
Uh,
culture. So I gotta stick with
uh,
cha.
yeah, okay. All right. Dress or lenga?
Dress or what?
Lenga.
Probably a lenga.
Okay. Taylor Swift or Diljit Dosanjh?
I like both.
Mm.
I'll say Diljit Dosanjh.
All right. Very cool. Let's do it, Diljit. Ice cream or Kulfi?
Definitely ice cream.
Yeah. Why definitely ice cream?
Kulfi is, I'm okay with Dudwali kulfi sometimes, but most of the time I get handed a pista kulfi. Let
Yeah.
me tell you, pista is not kulfi, okay, or ice
No.
cream flavor.
No.
Yeah,
No.
no, I can't. I can't even be friends with. I can't be friends with you if you like pista. I just can't. That's the my least. That's like the least favorite flavor. Okay, is pista. Should not even be an ice
But
cream
our
flavor.
parents' generation, yeah, our parents' generation, they just live like they just love that. Like they swear by that one. They go
I
how it
don't
is.
understand.
No. Um, so Statue of Liberty or Taj Mahal?
Say that again.
Sorry, the Statue of Liberty or Taj Mahal?
Statue of Liberty.
Okay. Christmas or Diwali?
Really, neither.
Fine.
Um, I would say probably Christmas. I like the
Okay.
lights. I like the trees that
Okay.
people put up. I like that people that do celebrate Christmas are more joyous during that time of year.
Yeah. I agree. Agree. All right. So let's just say, what do you call it? Tomorrow night at like 7 p.m. You get a knock on the door and it's Michael Jordan, right? And he says he's there to have dinner with you. What are you feeding him or where are you taking him?
We're feeding him aloo parathe, okay? Um, and maybe some like shahi paneer. I mean, I don't cook meat, but maybe mommy can cook some up. Like butter chicken, but I would make shahi paneer. I'd make aloo parathe because I'm sure he's never had an amazing aloo paratha.
I'm probably with you. I'm sure he has not either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
then
needs.
and I definitely have him, show up his skills because I'm sure he still got them because my kids are very adamant that Michael Jordan sucks. They don't know any better.
Have they not seen any of the games? I'm sure you could just go back YouTube something.
Oh, I've shown stuff. They're like, oh, the graphics here is so fuzzy. Like, what is this? So it's
That
just
doesn't take just because the graphics are fuzzy doesn't mean that it takes away from his accomplishment, his ability. It has
oh,
nothing to do with him.
oh, for this age, yes, it does. If it's not crisp on the TV, they don't want to see it.
Oh, geez, please, man. I mean, ugh, can't.
They're all Steph
I
Curry
can't.
fans, and I love
It's
Steph
fine.
Curry, but he's not Michael Jordan.
No, I'm with you. There's nobody like Michael Jordan ever, and never will be. That one.
Agreed.
Okay. DDLJ or Titanic?
Titanic.
Oh, how come?
I'm not a big Hindi movie watcher. I think I've seen like 4 or 5, and DDLJ was one, but I mean, Titanic was an amazing, amazing movie. Maybe because when I watched it, I actually didn't know the story of Titanic.
Oh,
So to
interesting.
me, it was all new.
That's so
Honestly,
that's
I
so
didn't
cool.
know the story of it. So maybe that's why I remember watching it. And I loved the soundtrack.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. I mean, cool. 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 Hip hop or Bhangra?
To listen to hip hop, to dance to Bhangra.
Okay. And our final one, do you have a favorite sports movie?
Space Jam.
Oh man, I mean, you are Jordan through and through.
I mean, is that a question? I mean, he's not in any other movie.
No, I don't think
Um,
he is. I don't remember seeing him in any other movie except for anything that he's made his own, like a documentary or something like
yeah,
that.
no,
But
he's
no,
not. That's the only movie he's in.
yeah, that's a. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on board. This was so cool and so fun. It was a blast. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for making me a celebrity. I love it.
Well, you are. I mean, you've what do you call it? Won. You're a bronze medalist for your state provincial team in a tournament, and you rubbed elbows with all the basketball stars: Kobe, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think I did it. I think you were there. I just am riding those coattails and using that for to bringing you onto the team, using your somebody who's experienced and knows what it likes to be in the limelight to be part of the team and show the ropes that way.
No, it was fun.
Cool.
I'm
All right.
glad you're doing this. It's awesome. We need
Oh,
more of
thank you.
this.
Thank you. Oh, we're gonna keep rolling. We'll keep rolling that way. Uh,
No,
all right, team. It was a blast as always. Thank you for listening and making us part of your day and spending quality time with us. As always, good game, good sportsmanship, and lots of love as always.